The NBA is about to snub the greatest season ever, and they can't even hide it anymore.
Rejected. Jokic has it. Snap it out. Christian's got it. Give it to Jokic. Running like a horse. Jokic guarded by the aforementioned. This has really improved him. Now Jokic straight away.
Nikola Jokic just dropped 55 points on the second night of a back-to-back and personally outscored the entire Clippers starting five combined. What's more, he did it while leading the league in rebounds and assists. And the NBA is about to look us dead in the face and say, yeah, cool, but not MVP. Today, we're counting down the exact moment the league finally breaks its most prestigious award forever. And it starts right now. Before we start talking about politics, favoritism, and all the excuses voters hide behind, we have to look at why this conversation even exists in the first place. Because if we're being honest, Jokic might be having the greatest individual season of the 21st century. Let me explain. This is the game scoreboard for the season. This measures everything a player does in the box score: points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, turnovers, and efficiency. And starting from the 2000s, you can see superstars like 2009 LeBron, 2020 Giannis, Harden's triple-double year, and Luka's 33-9-9 season. Keep these Luka numbers in mind because we'll come back to it later. But in all these legendary performances and efficiency, no one gets close to what Jokic is doing right now. With a 32.64 game score, Nikola Jokic has the highest of the basketball reference era. And he's doing it while shooting 67% from the field and leading the league in assists as a center. However, what makes it even crazier is that this isn't a breakout year. This isn't a one-off. The Joker has been improving every single year, even after hitting MVP levels. Which brings us to the part of the story that should scare every voter in the league, because the Joker isn't just repeating his MVP seasons, he's breaking them every single time. This is the part of the conversation the league pretends doesn't exist, because when you lay out Jokic's career year by year, it stops looking like a normal progression and starts looking like someone hacked basketball. 2020-21, his first MVP season, he goes for 26, 11, and 8 on 57% shooting. The next year, he went 27, 14, and 8 on 58%. 2023, he went 24, 12, and 10 on 63%, and the highest true shooting in NBA history, plus an NBA title. For 24, the Joker recorded 26, 12, and 9 without even trying. Last season, Jokic casually dropped 30, 13, and 10 on 58% and still finished second. Now, this season, he's already got the analysts losing it in November.
So, I'm just trying to keep some November composure. Yeah. I don't want to do anything crazy in November.
29 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, 67% shooting, 72% true shooting, and a 32.64 game score, the highest ever tracked. By the way, Windy later lost that composure.
He's shooting 78% on two-pointers. 78.
Then he drops the stat that breaks your brain.
I want you to listen to what I'm about to say. I'm going to try to keep it under control. Every 100 possessions he's on the court, the Nuggets are scoring 151 points. Every 100 possessions he's on the court defensively, the Nuggets are giving up 104 points. That means every 100 possessions he's out there, the Nuggets are outscoring the opposition by 47 points.
So how do you ignore that? How do you look at that and say, yeah, but not MVP? So now we gotta ask, if Jokic's numbers are beating the greatest players ever, what exactly is the standard now? Now let's play a simple game. 3 players in 3 seasons. You tell me which one sounds like an all-time great MVP year. So, Season A, the player records 31.5 points, 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and 53.9% shooting. Then, Season B, the player has 29 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists on 67% shooting. Then, Season 3 players got 25 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists on 50% shooting. Just looking at these numbers, it's clear who the MVP among legendary MVPs is because it's Season B, obviously. But when you realize that Season A is Michael Jordan, Season B is Jokic, while Season C is Larry Bird, then the bias shows up. And that explains this Coach Adelman's statement.
If he doesn't win the MVP, it's the greatest season of all time not to win the MVP.
And that was even last season, but wait until you hear what the NBA insiders are saying this season already. Still, if Jokic is statistically outperforming the greatest MVP seasons ever recorded, why is the league preparing to snub him again? Well, first off, the answer has absolutely nothing to do with basketball. Secondly, although it's an individual award, it just isn't decided by stats, impact, efficiency, or dominance. See, there are 5 unwritten rules voters follow, and none of them have anything to do with who the best player actually is. These unwritten rules include team record and voter fatigue, but number 1 is narrative. You think I'm exaggerating? Well, remember that Luka stat line I mentioned earlier? Here's Jalen Brunson putting it together.
Individually, he deserves it. But when Luka was averaging damn near a triple-double, but their seed wasn't where people wanted it to be, they were like, oh, he shouldn't get an MVP because of seeding.
And just so he's clear, he ends with,
I'm just like, why do certain narratives work for some of the people? And
exactly. Because the rules don't actually exist. They're just excuses used when the league doesn't want a certain player to win. And even early in the season, you could see where the narrative was heading, according to Rachel Nichols.
I thought it was interesting that Nikola Jokic was the runaway MVP prediction, obviously.
Funny that she says it's obvious until you're talking to Big Perk.
And that's number 1. Bam! Say butter.
And that right there is the entire MVP formula. It's never about most valuable. It's about who the league wants to push that year. However, Jokic is casually dropping crazy numbers on the best efficiency ever measured, which leads us to the ultimate question. How good does one player have to be before seeding and storyline stop mattering at all? History tells us there's only one player whose individual brilliance overshadowed team record, and voters had no choice but to give him MVP. That was 2017 Russell Westbrook. So will the Joker's jaw-dropping numbers be enough? Will voters finally respect the dominance? Or will they pretend it's just Jokic being Jokic and hand the trophy to a fresher storyline? Even NBA legends are frustrated with how casually the league treats what Jokic is doing.
Because, man, what the Joker's doing, you know, the one thing about sports, we just taking this dude for granted, man.
You see, Jokic isn't just having another great season, he's having a season so historic, so absurd, so impossible to ignore. And we're about to find out whether MVP still means anything at all. Because if this isn't enough to override narrative, nothing ever will be again. However, the Nuggets themselves look like a better team and are on a hot streak. So, if Denver finishes with the number 1 seed and Jokic keeps up anything close to these numbers, he wins MVP number 4 without breaking a sweat. The voters will call it the respect season. They'll pretend they always believed. They'll act like the debates never happened. But if the Nuggets finish 3rd, 4th, or anything lower than the top 2, Even with 31 points, 14 rebounds, 12 assists, and the greatest efficiency the league has ever measured, he won't get the MVP. Then the winner will be maybe SGA, and the narrative will be OKC stayed number 1. Or maybe it's Wembanyama because the league has a new face. It could also be Luka or Giannis because he's back and it's sort of a comeback story. And speaking of Luka, here's Charles Barkley and who's more like the MVP now.
And the Denver Nuggets, that guy's as much as I like Luka, I'd probably vote for Joker for MVP.
But we already know the excuses. From you can't give Jokic 4 before LeBron gets 5 to it's too soon for another one. Meanwhile, Jokic is putting up a season that makes MVP criteria look like optional guidelines. So here's the prediction. If Denver doesn't finish first, Jokic gets second, maybe third. And if that happens, then the MVP award is officially dead. Not broken, not flawed, just dead. Because if the greatest individual season of the modern era from the most efficient superstar we've ever seen isn't enough to win, then the trophy has nothing to do with value anymore. It becomes about marketing, about storylines, a matter of whose turn it is, or about who sells the most jerseys. Once again, we're about to witness the biggest robbery in league history. But on the positive side, this season could be the year the voters finally have no choice but to crown the best player alive again. Either way, one thing is clear. This might be the greatest individual season any of us will ever witness, and the league is dangerously close to pretending it never happened. So comment right now. Do you think Jokic will get his 4th MVP? Or will this be the biggest snub of all time? Let us know in the comments. I'll be reading every single comment. And if you're curious and want to know the one record that Nikola Jokic alone has in the league, then watch this video next.